Hello and welcome to Resolve, an afterplay show. This is an after show for a role-playing game that does not have an actual play, but we tell you all the details of our game so you don't have to listen to it. Hi, I'm Sammie, I'll be your host. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Isiri Omoli, the Hope of the Abyss. Joining me is my wonderful co-host, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I play the Marlboro Juice and his mule companions, the Smogs. All of us use he, him pronouns.
We are joined today by Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I play Poni, the magical miniature horse. We both go by she, her, hers pronouns.
We are also joined today by Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach. I use he, him pronouns, and I play Tao, the displaced dragon, who uses they, them.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Now that we're all here, Alex, why don't you tell us about the actual play?
Previously, in EFFETE, WorldCore meets at Toroid's lab to discuss Tao's phone. Toroid identifies the .tau file as a damage report and finds location data from the worlds the party has visited. Smog consults the version of himself that was connected to Tao's world through time magic and the Abyss's help. Tao's Smog relays that Tao's world was demolished and only the world of motion's Tao remains. The last Tao regroups with the party and takes the phone, integrating the lost information into their body. Tao realizes that Terra's sister was commanding the attack on their world and relays as much to Terra. Terra joins the group and discusses changing strategy in the face of a familiar foe. On the way to the mysterious portal Geyser spotted, Poni asks Powder to give her a new haircut to match her new armor and outlook. The dice disappear to the portal when Smog takes them out, and the party follows after them. WorldCore spends some time in a game room with a strange cast of characters, including the Game Master, before returning to Sequence Charter with some winnings.
So now that you've heard the actual play, let's do a deep dive into the session. So we start off with Powder seeing Isiri on the beach and being like, holy shit, she's back. Smog, Smog, Smog. Can we go see her? Can we go see her, please?
And at first I was like, I don't know if everybody wants to go see Toroid. So it's like, I guess Powder could go off, but like we should at least tell Isiri what's going on. And it rolled into Powder is coming with everyone to see Toroid now.
Powder's getting the gang back together. Powder was just lonely for 2 months. Her girlfriend's back in town. She's very excited about it.
Whereas Siri's like, I saw you yesterday, but I still love you.
Yeah. I always want to spend time with you, Powder.
They're such a cute couple. They have the size difference. They have the lovey-doveyness.
Mm-hmm.
They are kind of ridiculous, and I love them. And I can't wait to see where that goes. This ends up resulting in Powder dragging Isiri and bringing Elryun along for this adventure too, just to go visit Toroid in the laboratory.
Right, Elryun was also there. I had almost forgotten about that.
It's easy to forget when Powder and Isiri are together. Who else is in the room?
It's just them two, and then like also somebody else is here while they're making out passionately.
Yes, Smog sends out messages to Poni and Geyser to get them into the fold as well, and everybody heads up to Toroid's cubicle in the spire.
I like how Geyser's response to Smog's message was just like a thumbs down.
But not because she wasn't going to come.
She was displeased.
Yeah.
That was great. Geyser still being a bit of a troll.
Not intentionally.
Yeah. Debatable.
Intentionally from D, I think.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, as soon as we get there, Geyser's upset with Toroid.
I think it's hard for Geyser to parse past emotions sometimes.
Well, especially because the time was condensed for her so much. Like, we've had so many skipped time periods in Toroid's like, I've seen you twice, and that was like 6 months ago. What's wrong with you?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this conversation because Smog immediately leads off the bat with Toroid as like, hey, how's your kids? How's it going? Which is such an out-of-pocket question.
Said I was going to do this last week, but still, my favorite thing about this is that Dan rolled with it like an immediate yes and, or so I thought. He said like almost immediately after, like, I didn't remember Toroid having kids. And I was like, well, now we decided he does.
Yeah.
I legitimately thought Dan was going to be like, I don't have kids.
Yeah, I was fully expecting that, but then we gaslight the GM into thinking that this character has children, so
Please
now they
don't
do.
gaslight Dan.
It's called improv.
It's very sweet because sometimes Dan will forget some of the smaller details and he'll just roll with whatever you say. And we learned that Torrid's kids are not, in fact, imprisoned. Which is...
Torrid was in like pleasant response mode, and Smog was trying to tease him. And it's like, oh yeah, your kids must be in prison because you're not actually answering my question about how they are. This makes Isiri alert to the situation.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Geyser's just scowling at him from the corner. I don't even remember what happened like the last time they interacted. Was that literally like episode 1?
I think it was just at the party because Torrid. No, that would have been like in the quarantine room, and he had to get separated from us so that he could be cleared faster to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So barely saw Torrid, but Torrid had a slightly contentious interaction with Poni and Isiri first. So Negative feelings.
Harbored in the Geyser, our emotional storage bank.
Isiri at least gets down to business.
Yes. Apparently we have an emergency, and if you're going to present the emergency fish with an emergency, she's going to take care of it. Although, in this circumstance, she doesn't really know what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah, Smog explains to the best of his ability, which is not as good as the other Smog who studied Tau and made a virus face after them. Torrid is confused about this, but does agree to investigate the phone. His specialty is location data, so that is what he looks for.
Finds a whole bunch of location data in this phone that Tau left, covering Sequence Charter, other worlds, whole bunch of places.
And he does find some sort of extension directory that lists the .tau files. Did you work out what it actually was with Dan, or was that spur of the moment for you as well?
That was very spur of the moment. I was not expecting you to take this many detours.
I, as a player, was slightly confused because we didn't discuss the World of Motion Tau not being part of the group that got reintegrated before Tau exploded.
Tau specifically said that to Smog.
I might not have got it in my notes then.
We can get to it more when I go over more of the general playbook change stuff. That was the idea. There was one Tau left, and this phone was supposed to be delivered to that Tau.
Torrid is confused. There's lots and lots of data to filter through. Isiri can't read any of it, so not very helpful. So Smog's like, all right, let me talk to other Tau Smog and see what's going on there. What details can we discern from this mess?
Yep, when I changed back to the Smog that's hanging out in Sequence Charter, I took the move again where I can summon a different timeline version of Smog and ask some questions. The other Smog was able to relay what happened in Tau's world, so that information would have been lost otherwise, and mentioned that there was still a Tau in the World of Motion. That was a good hint for me, at least, because I had forgotten it. And I guess technically there's no way that this Smog would have known it either. So, hooray.
Got that information from your alternate universe self.
Ugh.
And made a link with your alternate universe self as well for some future shenanigans.
Yes, this causes a wonderful exploit that I explained by spending 10 experience in the moment to gain a move that Tau also had to communicate with people I share links with.
Which Isiri notices as a crack in the timeline of some sort.
Well, first of all, Al-Rayun is like, something's weird going on here. Me, in love with a time god, may have figured out some stuff about time in that relationship. And then Isiri's like, I'm a deity, what can I think about all this? And it's like, oh shit, there's something lurking between the fabric of reality here. We'd better fix this problem before it gets worse. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get down to more of that, though, we realize we should head to the World Tribal Lab and just meet up with the last living Tau.
Isiri calls the last living Tau by screaming into the phone.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Isiri's not the most technologically minded creature in the party.
I know.
And, you know, when she's used to, like, long-distance communication, she's used to yelling it across the literal ocean. So she's like, oh, yes, this must be the same process. Sorry, Tao, and I guess Smog by proxy's eardrums.
The Smog there just heard it through Tao's communicator, which was in their ear.
That's why you very dimly heard Smog say something back.
Called Tao to the World Travel Lab and caught a portal there from Toroid.
I love having a teleporter friend.
It's usually Smog that's the teleporter friend.
It's nice that Smog gets to go on break every now and then.
We can't always go through the darkness.
That's not true.
Since we're meeting up with World of Motion Tao again, we learn that the giants fell back asleep because otherwise all of the racers and people of that world wouldn't have vital resources to keep on living.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't get a whole lot of info about that, but that's wild.
I guess the illusion of corn is better than the lack of corn.
Was the whole illusion world the dream of the giant?
Yes.
Then wild. Absolutely wild.
I mean, if there's invisible corn, that must be Night Vale, right?
I guess.
Were we eating cornflowers to wake up and see reality?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I just said corn because it's the first crop that came to mind because I live in America. But
the world of motion is secretly the world of food we dreamed up over the weekend.
oh no. Oh no. I don't like that.
The planet is made of cheese under all that gas.
You mean the moon? The moon is made out of cheese, clearly.
No, because we're already on the moon. We saw it wasn't made out of cheese.
Oh,
so the
that's
planet's
right, yeah.
made out of cheese.
Oh. Horrible. Anyway, Tao comes out of the world of motion portal and is like, what's up? What's going on? What's the emergency? And then Juice hands him the phone.
Tao takes the phone and freezes as update commences. File 1 of 7,000.
Love that. I love that the fact their eyes turned into like rendering loading circles.
Yes.
This is when Smog reaches out to the other version of himself that is more of an expert in Tao things again. This is okay, be careful, but they're just rebuilding. And then Alrune and Isiri really notice something's wrong.
Yeah, hey, I feel like we may be inadvertently summoning the time validator, which is not good.
Roll bad. Roll bad.
That is a possibility. Do you have that move that summons the time validator still?
I think it's the one where you summon another version of yourself. So now, yeah. Yes, but when I move to the last Smog in the last world, I probably will get rid of that move again.
Okay.
I don't want to meet the time validator, guys. Isiri and the Abyss by proxy is like, I only deal in potentialities and deterministic things from preceding events. Dealing only in causality does not leave much room for the extended future and thus time shenanigans like we have going on here. We're going to solve this problem, so we're going to zap Smog with a giant squid ray.
Just stabilize across the timelines a bit. Let one more communication go through, but we'll get to that later because there's more to deal with here with Tao right now.
Yeah.
Tao's been updating, finally finishes, starts flickering in and out of different forms of different Taos from across the multiverse before settling into pretty much their original form, looking like what we've been calling Tao Prime, but is now just Tao.
Sad and disheveled.
There is the old Prime half of the title. I wonder where the other half could be going.
No idea.
Ever know.
You certainly couldn't tell by the probably new album art we have.
Wow.
I assume we're going to get it, but I don't want to place all of the stress on Sammie.
Setting a timer for you, Sammie, right now.
It's okay. I know when this is going to go live, so I have time.
Yes.
Tao won't be that bad. Poni might be a problem.
Tao now fully officially changed over to the Displaced playbook.
Any fun moves you took from the Displaced playbook?
I took a bunch of fun moves. We might want to get into those slightly later, but I did want to go into inspirations for this. Partly, I felt like the home base was a bit too strong with how we were using it for just jumping back and forth, using it for like instant travel between worlds. But also, how do you explain going from the connected, which is a bunch of different people, especially with the way Tao did it, going back down to one? I thought, why not have them get attacked?
Kill your darlings.
Kill all your OCs.
Even though it's just one OC, just multiple forms.
Kill all the AUs of your OC and only keep the original.
Literally decimate your OCs.
You're so fucking right. So any particular reason why you chose to displace?
The idea was Tao can't go up from here. Tao is at their maximum power. They have everything they wanted. And if I want to do a big change, they have to go down from there. And what's down from having a world you created? Losing that world, which is pretty much exactly what the Displaced book is. So it fit perfectly. So my original idea for the transition between playbooks was basically just going to be, you get back to Sequence Charter, Tao's not there, and maybe other people there saying like, oh, we haven't seen Tao in a while, in like a week or two.
I'm sorry, I fucked that up so hard.
Then Alex was like, oh, I have a Smog who's in Tao's world. What are they doing? We went into that flashback.
We had a scene that made me want to fucking cry.
Yes.
Weep for me.
Back in last episode. So when we were doing that, like, oh, this is kind of cool. Instead of just being something that Tao will tell the group happened, we actually have this whole scene of it happening that I assume you all went over much more last episode.
Mm-hmm.
God.
And I also thought, instead of waiting for the party to find Tao's phone just sitting there, I give it to Smog, who can take it directly to the other Taos. That would be great.
Wow, leave it to our party to like make a single errand into an entire quest.
I don't regret spitting off other Smog, though, because it helped me refocus ideas for how I want to leave Smog in the end. And it gives Tao more loss for being displaced.
That is true. My original plan was actually World of Motion Tao was also going to be gone when they stepped through the portal to go back. But then I realized there's been a 2-month time jump. Instead of it being there's no Taos left and you have to revive what's left from this phone, I could have there be one Tao remaining who gets to take on the burden of all of the others.
It also helps it so that we don't have to have World of Motion Smog screaming over the interworld comms like, Tao just fucking disappeared!
Yeah, true.
Very convenient. I'm so glad it did kind of shake out that way because it adds so much weight. It draws a lot of parallels to what's going on Chrysalis and on the other worlds we haven't gone back to. So I think it sort of hooks that overarching plot into a more painful context because it's directly happening to one of our party members. And it also granted us more backstory for Terra and cinematic parallels for other party characters.
Yeah, it wasn't my original plan. May have gone off on a bit more tangents, but I think it ended up really well.
Tao put together with finally having the information from Sequence Charter, Tao, and everything else integrated back in, that the 2680-A that they heard was Terra's sister, and told them about it almost immediately.
This plays in nicely with two of the moves that I picked up from the Displaced playbook when I changed over. One of them, I got a locked link with Terra, and I have a bonus to helping Terra whenever they're in need. And the other one was kind of a last minute. I sent a message to Dan and was like, hey, there's this thing, I can get a dark link with an enemy of my world. Could that be someone in the governance?
Oh, boy, is it someone in the governance.
Switching to this new playbook, I immediately got powerful connections to Terra and Terra's sister on either side of the conflict, and that just fits in so perfectly.
Oh, I love it. I also love how Tao immediately spills these details via the mind link to Terra, and Terra, in the world of song, in their giant body armor suit, just rips a hole in reality, and it was like, I better heard that correctly. You said who?
Yeah, just immediately walks out of everything else they were doing, talking with the leaders of the world of songs, like, no, we need to deal with this.
You said what?
Terra's sister, who is thought to be dead in the fight against the governance, seems to be alive and led the strike against Tao's world.
Ugh.
Real rough, bro.
Yeah.
Tara wanted to be selected for the position that her sister was put into back in our first interstitial game with Dan, but was passed over, thus becoming the discarded. So it's so funny to see the situation come back to a head here.
That's very good, yes.
This also spooks Tara strategically. She's worried that her sister will know anything she wants to do. And we have a couple suggestions. Smog starts out with, you have an entire team. Why not lean on your other marauders? And Tara is like, that could be useful, but they're already stretched thin.
Yeah, because we don't know exactly how many other marauders there are. We've met one.
Right.
Theoretically, Smog knows because he recreated them, but we as players don't quite understand yet.
Wait, Smog recreated the Marauders?
He made a summon of the Knights of the Round that looked like the Marauders.
Right. Well, Knights of the Round Final Fantasy style, so you only had to recreate copies of like 12 of them.
Maybe that's exactly how many there are.
Maybe.
I don't know. Only Dan knows.
Isiri is excited at the possibility of directly attacking them.
Yes, because she is done with their bullshit. I will leave it to Isiri, depending on like how we get to them. I think Isiri wants to just stop this nonsense because it's stupid. We're not ants. Why are we at war? But she is leaving it open to talk them down. But if they will not be talked down, then it's always fists and fins, teeth. If this problem is quickest dealt with by very forceful removal, she will be more than happy to do that for them. But unfortunately, the way she has envisioned to get to them, if they are truly in the EFFETE configuration, may not be easy on her. So she wants to save it as a last resort.
Isiri is normally so like calm and sweet. I love it when she starts to get violent. Like, oh yeah, she is a 50-foot tall sea beast.
Not right now. She'll get there though.
That's really where Geyser and Isiri meet up, is like the dedication once you have chosen violence.
Once the eyes roll back, there's very little going.
We'll get to releasing the Kraken eventually.
Yes! We're so close.
Geyser seemingly interrupts this conversation to talk about the portal, but does come back to thinking it might be some way to progress with this particular issue of the governance.
If it's a super secret portal that not even the humans can see, perhaps the governance can't see it as well.
Or maybe the governance made it. Maybe it has something to do with them and we can attack them through it. It's something to investigate. After we tell Tara what we're intending to do, she heads back into the scale and we board a strider to check out that portal. While we're heading along, Poni asks if anybody has a knife or some scissors.
Oh boy. Does somebody in this group, Powder, have a knife?
That knife wouldn't happen to be very special, would it?
No, not at all. It's not like it was made with love, literally.
It's so fitting because Isiri and Poni kind of have that buddy cop going on. So Poni decides that she wants to change her path, and when she's done helping save this world, she doesn't want to go back to her own world. She wants to travel other worlds. She's decided to not pursue the path of the unicorn. She'll pursue the path of the wandering scholar. So to physically show the mental changes she's made, she asks Powder to cut off all of her hair. Luckily, Powder has that knife from Isiri's tooth, was it?
Yeah, kind of love how this plays back to like way back in like session 3 or 4 when we all got together and Poni was chasing that unicorn dream, talking to Athenos, and was like, hey, you gave me a horn. Can I just follow you and go back to your world? I love to see how that's progressed from there's more worlds beyond this one we can explore. I should go with this guy to get what I want, into like, oh, there's more worlds beyond what I can explore. I can hang out and visit all these places and learn more. It's awesome.
Exactly. Poni is now pursuing knowledge for knowledge's sake because stuff just looks cool to her. What Poni asked Powder to do was to roach her mane, which is to cut it really, really short, so short it stands up almost like a mohawk, which is the opposite of your typical unicorn with your long flowing hair down to its knees. It was just a cool little symbol of how Poni is letting the past go. And it was also a reversal of what everyone else did when they changed. Most people, when they changed their playbook, afterwards they changed their appearance, right? Because the change had to happen first.
Yeah, for the most part. But I see what you're saying, where for Poni, the change of appearance was the trigger for the change in playbook. I like that.
It's symbolic. You've been exiled, so you have to cut your hair to leave town. It's the new start of your journey.
The Mulan cutting her hair to go join the army.
Hell yeah.
That's exactly the vibe I was going for.
From what little I know about magic, the concept that Poni is working on reminds me of like planeswalkers. Is that anything? Or are there any other immediate inspirations you have coming into this change?
It was mostly like what Zach just said with Mulan cutting her hair when she went off on a journey. A little bit of monks cutting their hair into tonsures, like getting a stupid haircut to get them closer to God and knowledge. A couple of different animes where when a character cuts her hair, that means she started a new point in her life.
What playbook did you move into then?
I moved from Knucklehead to Mystic.
Complete diametric change. We love to see it.
That's a very fun transition.
I really wanted to have Poni be not just more knowledgeable, but more thoughtful, to actually think through her actions before she acts. And I feel like after all her training with Smog and Terra, a little bit with a Thanos way back, she's kind of got it.
Yeah, she's been working a lot on learning how to master magic, and I like Mystic as another step towards mastering it.
It feels nice in parallel with Geyser's playbook change, because I feel like she and Poni end up together training a lot, and now they've finally hit this point of really thinking about their actions and having all this mastery.
And what they want to do going forward. I also love, like, immediately after Powder finishes cutting Poni's hair, Poni's just so grateful to everybody. I love that. It's incredibly sweet and very indicative of the growth that Poni's been on. Was all of the party worked together to put Poni in this position, so it just comes full circle.
Yeah, that was a huge moment for Poni's character too, because she's really truly grateful for all her friends. She went from having no one she could trust to having an entire boatload of people she could trust.
When things finally settle down and Poni gets to like really be a celebrity, I'm excited to hear about that sort of epilogue.
Yes, Poni is absolutely going to be making some waves.
Smog finally uses his new move to have a longer conversation with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should just get a mirror, bro.
Oh yeah. I explicitly didn't want to have a direct conversation, but Dan and I talked through like, okay, what the hell are they actually talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The Alexander Smog is basically saying we can use this connection that we have to help Charlene when we have to go back home. So just wait for my signal. And then the other Smog, when they hang up, is like, oh heck, something's listening. We gotta go.
Something listening in on that connection.
Don't like it.
No matter the context.
While Smog is doing that, Tao is doing a couple things. Tao uses that connection with 2680A to track back to where exactly they are. Keeps that information to themselves for now, but knows that they're in the configuration somehow, or through the configuration. But then also messages the World of Motion Smog and says, hey, yeah, I'm not coming back. I am now every Tao in one. Have that conversation with another Smog off screen asking a million questions.
I don't know if I pity Smog, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It's like, he directly put himself into this situation. So, like...
I kind of feel bad for that Smog, because I feel like that the, I guess, youngest one that we've met so far, out of the, like, 2 or 3 different versions of Smog that have been staying in each world.
Out of the ones that have been around at the same time, yes.
Yeah. This is the one that's kind of done the least to mess up the situation and is most suffering the consequences.
They're just sad that they lost their bedtime buddy.
Tears.
Weeping,
So sad.
sobbing. Meanwhile, because apparently it's talking time, Isiri, with anxiety, goes to Powder and is like, what is going on since we've been gone? If we've been gone for this long, some stuff has to have been going down in Sequence Charter and Chrysalis as a whole. Catch me back up. And Powder's like, sure, it's a lot, but obviously the defense wing is hyperactive now. There's apparently some sort of discontent within the populace. Military hospitals are opened up. There's a lot more talk between the different worlds. People are coming in and out from the places we've connected, including Dr. Acula, who is now in a hospital on Sequence Charter.
Dr. Acula! Our buddy!
This is how Scrubs happens.
Yeah.
Scrubs takes place on Sequence Charter.
Good to know. Powder is speaking mostly from the perspective of the salvagers because that's where she works, but a lot of them are pretty upset about the level of militarization, which is understandable, but also at the same time, you are actively back at war.
When you're being attacked, it makes sense to arm up and ready yourself.
I understand their concern because the power structure of Chrysalis right now is very, very delicate because the entire figurehead is just Terra. Anything that happens to them could change a lot about how the political organization of this world is structured. But at the same time, you are at war again. Ugh, it must suck, is the synopsis of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Powder goes on. Aura and Alrune have been talking about something, don't know what. Sierra has been working on something, but he's slowed down a lot recently. He's been trying to get a lot more rest. Asiri's like, am I doing the right thing? If I am putting this stress onto people I'm talking to, are the actions that we're performing as a party for the greater good? Are we doing the right thing? And Powder's like, yeah, I think so. As far as, like, she can see, you've got no other choice, so you're just doing the best as you can. And I think Isiri really needed to hear that at this point in time, because things are getting crazy, and she's losing her little fish brine.
I mean, I feel like Isiri might have been the one that pushed more for Aura and Alrune to start talking, so that's probably some of the right thing you're doing there.
Okay, they were talking before my tirade to get them together, so I'm just encouraging it by putting the pieces together. This started before me. Isiri's like, we're going to be very busy with this last world, and I'm assuming whatever the fallout is from that final connection and this final showdown with the governance. So, Powder, if you get the chance, can you help Sierra? And Powder's like, sure, whatever you want, but like, we should go back and talk to Sierra. There's some stuff that we need to take care of to make sure he's okay. And Isiri's like, absolutely. And apparently Sierra wants to see her too, which is just very sweet, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice.
I would be worried if my friend disappeared for 2 months.
That's fair.
This is where we finally come back upon the location where Geyser found the portal, and Smog remarks that this is where he appeared alone and fired on Powder.
And Powder's like, that could have been real bad.
And this is also where Smog first loaded up Tau from their phone.
I love that. The beginning of it all. And see how much we've changed in that time.
Tau has to explain that interaction to Smog because Smog has no memory of it.
Right, yeah. This is the Smog that doesn't have any memory of Tau at all before, I guess, World of Ages.
Different circumstances.
Right about where we came into the world, right about where we started the first scene of the first session, we see Orb Portal?
An Orble?
An Orble.
An Orville Redenbacher?
Ooh, popcorn. I don't like popcorn. I don't know why I was excited.
Yeah, we chat about it for a bit. Smog finally takes out the dice, and they just get auto-yeeted in.
Get vacuumed on into the portal. And then the portal inverts colors.
Yeah, it starts out black with red streaks, and then the dice go in, and then it's red with black streaks?
Yep.
We confirm that Powder cannot see it.
It's just dirt for Powder.
And then just gets bored, touches it, and we all fade in.
Picture this in your mind. Hardwood floors, red wallpaper, long curtains over a window that is open, displayed to the blackness of space, displaying a galaxy into the farthest breadths of the universe. There's a bunch of people in this room, none of which that any of the party have ever seen before. In the corner, there's a pool table with a tall giant with purple hair and a average-sized young lady with black hair and a braid. There's another lady with darker skin and really dark purple hair, almost black, just standing on the side of the room looking mad. There's a detective man sitting on a couch reading a newspaper. There's two lizard folk wrestling in a sandbox on the other side of the room. And sitting in a chair looking out that window is some sort of beast creature that is a skeleton with two little horns staring out into the abyss of the galaxy. And we are in the nebulous world.
Blackhorn creature with skeletal limbs. Might look a bit familiar from some of the other episodes' album art.
I don't know, maybe the very first episode. I regret not asking how homoerotic the wrestling was.
Yeah! We didn't really talk a lot at all to the lizard folk.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on in here.
Don't worry about it.
Pay attention to all of it.
It's not like we've been teleported into Dan's mental space, don't.
I mean, isn't that what we are every episode?
I guess.
Welcome to my brain.
You guys don't want to go into my brain.
Instead of having opening music next time, it's just whoever the GM is screaming that. Welcome to my brain at the start of every episode. Welcome to my twisted little world.
Welcome to my dark, twisted mind. Eventually we get noticed. The skeleton man turns around and is like, oh, you finally made it. It's been so long. And everyone's confused.
Mm-hmm.
Geyser thinks he's a writer. Tao sort of focuses on their connection having created worlds. Smog thinks this is just the master from the future.
They are, in fact, a master, but not the master, because they are the game master.
I was going to say a Keyblade master.
No, that's don't exist here. Thank goodness. Nobody here is worthy of that. We found an Easter egg, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
I wish Dan was here. He said that there was a set of steps that triggered the reveal of this Easter egg. I'm dying to know what those criteria were.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if he has a bunch of those planned out and this is just the only one that we've activated.
He mentioned getting the dice at all, and then rolling double sixes a couple times as part of it, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like there's more than just that.
I mean, obviously, uncovering the portal would have to be one of them and bringing the dice back.
Sure.
I think 4 steps is quite a bit, but maybe there's more.
I don't know. Maybe there's some ARG bullshit going on here.
Conversing with Dan in real life has unlocked this event.
Yeah, that's true. That has happened before.
Isn't that every session?
Every TTRPG is an ARG if you think hard enough.
Oh, I don't like thinking, so no big deal. I love this, though, because for everyone else who is not a part of the madness that is our tabletop group, all of these characters here, sans the GM, are players that Dan has been. The tall giant with purple hair is a character Ivan from his first VTM campaign. The braided dark-haired girl is Alicia from my most recent VTM game. Michaela and Jack are 2 vampire characters from a different game, and the 2 lizard men were from different D&D one-shots that... I think their names are Tapioca and Waddlesworth, but...
Nice.
And they're married.
I don't think they're married, honestly. I feel like Waddlesworth would not like Tapioca at all. The 8 sentences that Dan has told me about them.
Oh my god. The game master does try to get us in on a game. There's already pool there. Smog suggests some triple triad, but that's a long game. Maybe. I don't know. I've never actually played it.
It's pretty short, but we don't have cards for it.
No,
I'm sure the game master could produce them.
maybe.
Because he definitely knows what triple triad is and how to play it.
Absolutely. Why would you lie to you about that? Start a new tabletop game in this game right now. Let's go deep, baby.
Yeah. That's why you had the 2d6, Smog, so we could play interstitial.
We need to play interstitial inside of interstitial, Smog.
God. We did talk a little bit at one point about what D&D class our interstitial characters would play. I think I chose Artificer for Smog because that's the one class that rules is written gets a fucking gun.
Gun.
Right. And Tao would obviously be Bard as the singer.
I have very few ideas of what Isiri would be. I guess the best fit would be Warlock. I don't know.
Yeah, Warlock seems very good for Isiri.
Starts Warlock, takes levels in Sorcerer later.
Yeah, that sounds good.
What about Poni?
Fighter.
Poni seems very, like, Eldritch Knight fighter.
Hell yeah.
Got that brute force, but also doing some sneaky things, pouring some extra energy into some magic.
I guess in that way could also kind of be like a paladin, depending on what we think about her path is.
She's definitely moving towards paladin, I would say.
We're missing the obvious one, which is monk.
Monk worked really well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that works well with the type of magic she says he wants to do going forward.
Monk of the Four Elements, or whatever that one is.
Yes. The Avatar-inspired monk.
Yeah, that basically gets, like, fire and water spells and whatnot.
It's been so long since I've played D&D.
I haven't actually played it in a while, but I played it enough that I have too much of it memorized.
I think I've played it in over a decade.
That's also all the big actual play, though, is
Sure.
D&D 5e, so...
Right.
Do you think I
know
looked
it.
to actual play?
There's one we're watching where there's stoat.
It's very cute.
Stoats in the forest.
Maybe.
Jumping inside a bear and murdering it from the inside.
I love that. Fish do that. They'll get eaten and they'll, like, cut their way out.
The game that we get to play is a simple guessing game, a number between 1 and 12. I guess this is the range of the 2d6 extended for another 1. We get a bunch of tethers on us, and if we guess the wrong number, we're zipped out. Smogs makes sure that this is an integer, which is good because Tao is going to guess pi, because Tao is 2 pi.
And the game master does say that was the first non-integer they thought of was pi. So I would have been right if you hadn't clarified it.
Right. You would have been right if it had been non-integers. But I think that 2 pi really needs to be somebody's nickname for Tao now.
Yeah. If there was a world where Tao was a rapper, then that would be...
2 pi? God.
That's Tao's alias that they put out rap songs under.
Juice holds up 5 tentacles. I'm impressed that Juice can count. And that is incorrect, and they get yeeted out of existence.
Yeah.
Poni tries to figure out the rules here. Is like, can we stay here forever if we never guess anything?
The answer was yes, but it was boring, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can sit around and not play if you want. You can just chat with people, hang out.
He was also like, you can leave when you want to. Like, don't worry about that. He won't force you to play the game.
Because he's a good game master.
Smog has the brilliant idea to start a game of 20 questions and ask if it is a multiple of 3.
Good idea. I didn't think he was actually going to answer that, but he just said, wait until one more person answers before you get a clue.
Tao guesses 8. That's incorrect, even though Tao is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So Tao disappears. Poni guesses 12.
And that was wrong.
But Poni did help narrow it down because it was a multiple of 3.
Which only let 3, 6, and 9. So Smog guessed 6, which was correct. And out of character, I did not guess this because I know Dan, and I know Dan's favorite number is 6. So I was waiting for the last possible moment.
You did not anticipate Smog's power.
Oh.
No, you had 3 choices. One of them had to be correct.
We would have to get to it, yeah.
Smog's power did cut out like 7 options. So
I think I got to that from Zach watching so much fucking Taskmaster because they never think to just ask for help. And usually they can get it, from what I've seen.
Yes, but the Game Master cheers and says that hexagons are the bestagons because they have 6 sides. And then they bring everybody back that got yeeted out of existence. And it's like, awesome, thank you for playing. You'll receive a gift. You won't be able to see it, but you'll have it nonetheless.
Oh, and quite an interesting gift it is.
I think you're the only one who took it so far. Would you like to explain what it does?
Sure. We got a special move called the Demon's Double Dice. Anytime you roll doubles, you get a special effect. If you get double 6s on your dice, then it doubles the effect of whatever you're doing. Great. If you get double ones, you're not allowed to re-roll it with your links, which is what we always do. So, makes you actually take the miss, and it's twice as bad.
Woohoo!
And on any other double, you can heal someone for 1 harm or reactivate one of your locked links. Overall, seems like a good option with just potentially extremely bad consequences if you get nat ones at the worst time.
And now that you have it, you can't get rid of it either.
Mm-hmm.
This is permanent for Tau.
Forever.
Maybe we had to roll all of the doubles at some point to unlock this.
Maybe.
Those of us who roll dice, not with the bot, we haven't been reporting our numbers, but maybe D just already had rolled a bunch of them.
That's really funny to think about.
Possible.
D is the sole reason why we have this Easter egg. But yeah, the rest of the time, because this is getting close to the end of our session, we're just kind of putzing around talking to the various people in this nebulous realm. Isiri harasses Jack, the detective man, and then also goes to bother Ivan, the giant guy, and then ruins the pool table by getting mucus all over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just normal fish things.
Normal fish things. Getting mucus on the pool table. Every fish does that at least once or twice.
It's a pool table. She should be on it.
Monkey billiards.
Mm-hmm.
Is that monkey ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine Isiri as a special guest character like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog? No way.
Yeah, he's a special guest character in Monkey Ball.
Just Isiri rolling around in her bubble.
Hell yes.
That would be choice as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a Monkey Ball character next time we play Interstitial.
Ooh,
Dr.
yeah.
Bad Boon.
Ooh.
Tau eventually goes up to the pool table and is like, hey, I'll play you in pool. You seem to be just here at the table by yourself, lining up shots. Why don't we play? I've never actually played pool before. And then immediately, like after getting that doubles move, Tau gets double sixes and absolutely destroys at this game.
Cleans house. An absolute pool shark.
Mm-hmm.
Then Dan has the gall to return my line to me. And the game master asks, are you having fun?
Because Dan has the absolute gall to do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
My response is having Smog just sort of blink vacantly while Juice is kind of excited.
I'm glad Juice is having a good time.
Yeah.
Isiri is confused by this question.
The game master assures us that everything will be fine and that we have the sway here. We've got the decisions.
Yeah.
We have the moves like Jagger.
Moves.
Wait, which playbook is Jagger?
The Jaeger playbook.
Prodigy.
And then we're shunted out, back home.
Get out of here. Go home.
Session end, fuck off.
Bedtime. Go to sleep.
What a silly place.
That was cute. I enjoyed it.
Adorable.
Poni still has not seen Umbra since receiving her armor that Umbra made for her. That is her next big goal in all of this. Just to say thank you.
Guess our next episode is probably going to be us taking care of our final errands before heading off into the last world, I'd assume.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Tau is going to do, but I can pretty accurately predict that the rest of the party is going to be seeing Umbra and Sierra, and then hopefully we'll have some time to get into the next world.
The last world.
Mm-hmm. Everything's gotta end.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Fuck you. I cry when I want to.
It's my TTRPG and I'll cry if I want to.
Exactly.
In fact, I created the conditions which made me cry.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Now you're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Weeping and sobbing. Rolling on the floor, kicking and screaming. Was there anything you would have done differently if you had the chance?
I had talked about my original plan for Tau moving to the next playbook and how that kind of got switched up by the time skip stuff and Smog. I wish that I had filled Alex in a little bit more once we realized that you're going to be a part of this now. Maybe made that transition to the new Tau a bit smoother.
Yeah, I guess I don't have anything specific, but along that line, just sort of vibes-wise, I wish I'd spent more time making people understand what the hell is going on with Smog, because I know it can get confusing not being in my fucking brain thinking about time travel.
I'm very confused. But that's okay, that's half the fun.
Poni should have let Smog ask a few more questions before guessing a number. She got booted from the room too soon.
Only for like 5 seconds, though.
It was fine.
Got us all back.
Yeah, no real regrets for me. Like, obviously I want more powder Isiri time because I can't help myself. But I think everything went just as I wanted to. Let's get into the resolution phase, the segment of the show where we each get to say something about the game with no responses. What was your final say on this session, Zach?
Tao's going to teach Isiri how to play pool, so we get a real pool shark. You can find me on Blue Sky at Zach Defense, and I'm going to jump in with a media recommendation here too, so Alex isn't the only one. I mentioned it earlier in the episode. There's a season of Dimension 20 where the characters are all playing as cute little stoats, killing rabbits and bears in the forest and whatnot, and trying to understand the mysterious magical power flowing through them, called Burrow's End. And at the time of recording, it's only 3 episodes in, and it's already fantastic.
Hey, how about you, Carolyn?
I'm very excited that we're wrapping up and getting ready to go into the last world, but I'm also really sad because that's a definitive endpoint for this series, and I'm not ready for it to end. I don't really have any social media, but I do also have a media recommendation. I watched Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon on Netflix recently, and it was very fun. If you like video games or the video game aesthetic, that is a nice little 6-episode series that you can get through quickly.
Hey, and you, Alex?
There might be 1 or 2 situations where having a time validator on hand wouldn't be such a bad thing. You can find me on Blue Sky at Shining Crowbat. This week, I recommend Hand of Fate and Hand of Fate 2. I'm going to link to the studio that made them. It is now defunct, but it still has the links out to find all of the games. It is a roguelite action game with cards. So it's not deck building in the same way as like a Slay the Spire, but you have a deck of cards that you place down to figure out what sort of encounters you do, so you know what the repeated encounters will be. And there are cards that represent the equipment that your character has to go into these action sections to fight groups of enemies or avoid traps and eventually kill bosses that sometimes, especially in 2, have like set pieces to break. They're just a really fun time. They're the first games that really made me like roguelites that had some other genre attached to them. And I really wish the studio had a chance to make their 3rd game that was going to take some of those mechanics even farther.
And for myself, to exist in nature is to make a series of cost-benefit analysis choices. So how fitting is it that nature now has to make that same choice? You can find me hanging out with the rest of the skeletons in your closet. This has been Resolve, an after-play show. You can find us online at most social media sites at ResolveAP.
Except Instagram, which is at ResolveAfterPlay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. You can buy the game we're playing, Interstitial, Our Hearts Intertwined, from its creator, Riley Hopkins, at linksmithgames.com.
All links will be included in the episode description.
Thank you again for listening. We end our turn here, so now it's your turn. Tell us what's happening in your game.